I have talked to you about Kapha, Pitta, Vata, and I just want to note a little bit what I just went through, is that Kapha aggravation time is from 6 to 10 in the morning. If you kind of noted, I got a little congested, which has happened to me since I was 10 years old. At 10 to 10:15, I'd either sneeze or get congested. It took me many years to figure out what was going on until I began, because I'm clearly Kapha. And so, that's what you were just saying. There's just like the subtle congestion which clears. But with all the traveling, this and that, it was a little bit more emphasized. But that is the way it works. It was like clockwork. I mean, I remember in 4th grade, every day at 10:15, I would have one sneeze. Out of the clear nothing. But this is really, when you tune into how that works, you begin to get a feeling for yourself. And Pitta's, if you don't really get it, you just think, well, I'm just a person that does late night. Well, yeah, because you're past your Pitta time. So there's some real, let's say, there's kind of a clockwork reality, and it doesn't matter what time zone, because you link into that time zone. It's fascinating, yeah.
Following that principle, or it has to be that principle, you mentioned something that people get into imbalance, either the way they live, or the way they eat, or the way they aggravate their dosha. They tend to go more into imbalance, or they tend to choose things that gets them into imbalance.
Right.
Could you?
Well, the two.
I need that part again.
The key, I gave you kind of what we see. If you tend to be Pitta, which is more fiery, an imbalanced Pitta is going to go for hot foods, alcohol, things that are going to imbalance Pitta. They're drawn to exactly the wrong frequency.
I'm not asking specifically about the doshas, I'm asking more about the human nature, which we tend to choose things that do bad to us, or we want more of what gets us out of balance, or downward spiral.
There's something, I know what you're asking, and what I'm trying to say is there's something about the reverse dosha. And that's the best I can say, is that people who have a kapha imbalance tend, when they're out of balance, do just the opposite. They're going to have sweet, they're going to have pastries, they're going to have oily food, and then what you see is kapha imbalance. People are overweight because it's not just all kaphas, but our society's become more and more kapha. And what do you see? Sugar and pastries and wheat. Those are kaphagenic foods. Society is eating lots and lots of those. You follow what I'm saying? So, for reasons that aren't clear, people tend to somehow are attracted, and that's the word I'm going to use, to things that are really imbalance their doshas in that way. Now, when you're clear, you do just the opposite. You tend to naturally avoid. So if you're kapha, you're going to avoid sweets, and you're going to avoid, heavy, oily, pastry, wheat foods. Does that make sense? What I'm saying? So once you're in, if you're Vata, your Vatas just always are drawn to overwork, overexertion. They're the ones that are attracted to doing the marathons, all that. That's classic Vata imbalance. And when you heal people who are Vata, then they just lose interest in that. Okay? That's the point I'm making. So people tend to be attracted unconsciously to things that are going to imbalance them, their particular dosha. I'll put it that way. It's like opposites. So if you're doing this opposite, this imbalance, then finally you get it, you move to that opposite, which is to work towards balance. Sweet, salt, and salty food, that kind of thing. But you'll see a lot of Vatas eating a Kapha balancing diet. And that's what you see with the live food movement. What's the Kapha balance? Your green, your bitter, your pungent foods, but they don't have the things that are really balancing for the Vata, which is a little bit more oily, slightly sweet and sour. The greens are very imbalancing for Vata. They're very good for Kapha. That doesn't mean people shouldn't have greens, but if you're Vata, you need to have more balance in that. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Specifically about two dynamics we were touching on yesterday. When people are low in ojas, for example, they tend to burn more of their ojas. When people are low in jing, other than build the jing, in some way they're attracted maybe more to addictions or overwork and kind of
drugs, everything. Right.
In some ways kind of more attracted.
I can't explain why that is. I can just say that that's what we see often.
Well, that's the wake-up call, is it? I mean, if you notice...
Yeah, but some people don't wake up. You see, if
people are handling a lot of stress and they are like attracted to sugar and coffee, and this is what you mean, like.
Not exactly. I'm really saying take a Vata. People Vatas tend to overdo it. That's their negative tendency. So Vatas tend to work too hard. They tend to get involved in complicated things. They tend to, athletically, they tend to be drawn to marathons, all which imbalance them. They're not doing it for stress reasons. So that's my point. It's a different concept. But they tend to be attracted to what imbalances them. Kaphas tend to be attracted to what imbalances them. What attracts Kaphas? Kaphas have a tendency to become couch potatoes.
Like an elephant.
Like an elephant, right. They eat sweet, which is not good for them. They have pastries, it's not good for them. They have oils, which is not good for them. They don't exercise, which is not good for them. They tend to be attracted to that. Now, when they break out of that, they start to really like exercise. They start to really like the leafy greens, bitter, pungent, and astringent foods. But first, they're attracted to what actually isn't good. And it's some kind of cosmic game, is what I'm saying. It's not about stress. They're tendencies. So the negative tendencies of Kapha are going to pull you this way. The negative tendencies to Vata are going to be, you're going to do a live food that's all green, okay? Thinking that's the greatest thing ever, because Vatas are always trying to be perfect in a different way. That perfectionism works against them when you got the wrong thing that you're seeing to be perfect. Do you follow what I'm saying? So their tendencies are kind of the opposite until you rise above that and get into a healthy Vata, healthy Kapha, healthy Pitta.